video will cover all the complex problems, so 12 through 15 on your study guide. The first one you are subtracting, the second one you're adding. For both of these, you're simply just combining like terms. So you're combining the real part and you're combining the imaginary part. So 4 minus a negative 2 ends up being 4 plus 2. Your real part is 6. 7i minus 13i is a negative 6i. And all of your answers, you always want them to be of the form a plus bi. Adding for number 13, negative 7 plus 6, you get negative 1. 8i plus negative 2i is a plus 6i, so that's going to be your final answer there. When you're multiplying complex numbers, it's just like FOIL. So we're going to go ahead and do negative 2 times negative 3 is 6. Negative 2 times I is minus 2i. 5i times negative 3 is negative 15i. 5i times I is a plus 5i squared. So the only thing that's different here is that I squared, we have to remember I squared equals negative 1. So this is really like a positive 5 times negative 1, which ends up being like a minus 5. So it helps to get rid of another I in the problem. So I squared being that negative 1 makes this part of the real part of your imaginary or your complex number. So 6 minus 5, there we get 1, and then negative 2i minus 15i is minus 17i. So that's going to be your final answer there. And then number 15, we have 6 plus 2i divided by negative 4 plus 3i. And in order to do this, we don't want to have an I in the denominator because that's like having a negative 1 in the square root of negative 1 in the denominator. And we know that that's not allowed. And so we're going to rationalize the denominator by multiplying by its conjugate. And the conjugate is basically keeping the real part. So we keep the negative 4 and we change the imaginary part to its opposite. So it's minus 3i. We're going to multiply by that on top and on bottom, which is going to lead you to needing to FOIL out the top and on the bottom. So 6 times negative 4 is negative 24. Then we have minus 18i, minus 8i, and then minus 6i squared over, if I FOIL out the denominator, 16. We're going to have plus 12i and minus 12i, and then minus 9i squared. And the whole point of that is to get rid of all the i's in the denominator, which kind of happen automatically here. And then like we said last time, I squared is like a negative 1. So negative 1 times that negative 9, that's going to be a plus 9. So 16 plus 9, we're going to get 25 in the denominator. Up here, this is a negative 6 times a negative 1, which is really like adding 6. So negative 24 plus 6 is negative 18. And then negative 18i minus 8i is minus 26i. And like we said last time, we want it of the form a plus bi. So we're going to just go ahead and kind of split this up to be negative 18 over 25 plus, or I'm sorry, minus, let me go ahead and fix that, minus the 26 over 25i. And if you can, you would always reduce it, but in this case, none of those will, and this ends up being our final answer.